Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, okay, we're having some technical hitches with the microphone, it's fine now. Let me once again welcome everyone to day 2 of the Ondo Development and Economic Summit, put together by a consortium. Of course, you already know the consortium, so we'll just move on. I'd like to respectfully welcome the Member House of Representatives representing Ondo West and Ondo East Federal Constituency, Abiola Makinde Oshaprapra. Let's put our hands together for him. I'll learn how to do this your filler, because me, I like it plenty. I'd like to also welcome to this event one man who I respect so much. Why? Because despite his youthful personality, despite the fact that he's a young Nigerian, he's doing fantastic things for development. He's an engineer by training, but he's also an ICT guru. In fact, he's not just a professional in that direction, he's also becoming an iconic politician, driving youth development. The Director General of the Performance and Project Monitoring Implementation Unit in Ondo State, Engineer Babajide Akeredolu. Many people usually feel that he's this prominent because he's the governor's son, no? For those of us who know him as a thorough professional, we're impressed by the fantastic things he's doing, and I say that with every sense of responsibility. I can only wish you greater years ahead, you know, as you trudge on in very many areas where you are actually playing. I'd like to also welcome the Honorable Commissioner for Tourism and Culture in Ondo State, Honorable Wale Akinlosotu. I may be wrong, but it strikes me as the most quiet member of cabinet. He just goes smoothly. You never notice him in a crowd, except you actually know him. Thank you very much for all you do. Welcome to this event. I also like to welcome one of the most fantastic development experts I have met. And I say that with every sense of responsibility. He talks development in any sector with so much ease. And I'm always like, wow, this man is indeed an icon. But not just that, he's also a power dresser. I always say that to him. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Patrick Tolani, Chief Executive Officer, Community Energy and Social Enterprise Limited. Thank you very much for joining us at this event. Dr. Tolani, in those days when we were in the university, is the kind of people we call Igi Iwe. He will just be saying it's Latori, Latori, Latori. Thank you very much for, giving to this community. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I also would like to welcome Dr. Femi Akinkwebi, Managing Director, HESMAC Consulting, and of course, one of the motivating forces behind the Ondo Development and Economic Summit. Let me also welcome the chairman of Bambi Farms, Chief. No, sorry. They said he's not a chief. He doesn't want to be called a chief. Mr. Ade Ayola and his very gorgeous wife. Thank you very much for joining us at this event. Well, I'm sure that other dignitaries will join us, but I'd like to make an observation. All right, the chairman of Ondo Development Committee is here. I'd like to welcome Chief Akinwande. Thank you very much for joining us. Oda Enkwe Muma Pot was Ondo. I like the way the Ondos are. As I was going through the program this morning, it just occurred to me that it looks like Governor Keredolu likes Ondo people too much. Oda Enkwe, very strategic positions. I looked at Mama Fagbemi. I looked at Mr. Lumbe, if as a matter of fact, these Ondo people. Okay, we'll get to that later. All right, so let's hit the ground running. Well, yesterday we started a lot of conversations around a whole lot of issues that are tangential to development. And so it's only nice that you do an overview this morning. And to take the first shot, I'd like to invite Engineer Babajide Akeredolu, Director General, Performance, Project, Implementation and Monitoring Unit. That's a mouthful.
Thank you so much. And maybe instead of saying, I just say Pimu. Pimu is fine. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe we'll do something like this in Owo. I want to thank the Deputy Governor who was around yesterday, and he spoke extensively about the scope of investment that Ondo State has been driving since this government came in. I know Baba Denki, he had noted that this government has been aggressive around investment promotion, and a lot of that is thanks to us having the Investment Promotion Agency. And that agency has a goal. And then the goal is before the end of this administration, we should have created more private sector jobs than public sector jobs. Because that way, we can finally say Ondo State is not a civil service state anymore. It's an industrialized state, so to speak. So out of all of this, one can just tell you quite simply, our goal is to do. I mean, everybody calls Mr. Governor Mr. Talk and Do. But most people don't realize that the DO in Do represents Develop Ondo. And so our goal here is to do. And this summit is one of those examples of how we're trying to do, how we're trying to achieve these things. And I should note now that in a few months, specifically on the 25th of November, there's going to be a state-level investment summit that will run about a week. It's going to happen in Akure. So for those that are interested in seeing what Ondo State is doing on a grand scale, please endeavor to attend. On that note, too, I want to appreciate KBSC. He's not here now, but KBSC for the tremendous support he has given this project. We cannot even begin to recognize or appreciate what, if not for him, this would most likely not even take place. So a lot of thanks goes to him for his contributions. It takes me to why I'm on this stage. For those of you that might know a thing or two about investment promotion, there are two words that always come to mind. FDI, called Foreign Direct Investments, so money coming from outside of Nigeria, and DDIs, which are domestic direct investments, which are money that comes from within Nigeria. Most countries use that English to say if a company in Nigeria invests somewhere, it's a domestic investment. If a company from outside of Nigeria invests, it's a foreign investment. But there's a group of people that are lost inside there that this summit is intending to harness. And for us, we're creating a new term that we're calling HCDI. So that's homegrown community driven investments. What does that mean? We're talking about people, yes, there are people in the diaspora that build a house in Ondo town because they are from Ondo town, or build a house in Owo, or build a house in Ilaje. I don't think you want to call that an FDI or DDI. They are doing that because of their connection to their community. And for us, we've started to look at the reality that you need to separate that particular group of people. And it's on that basis that we've said, look, this need to localize investment promotion is something that is of utmost importance, especially in a place like Nigeria. I remember Mr. Akinkoebi was telling me the other time that a lot of people want to invest, but they don't want to invest in Ore because they're not from Ore. And the state is putting so much funding into the Ore development, creating that cluster in Ore. But a man from Owo might not want to invest in Ore because it's not where he's from. So how do you target those individuals that want to invest at home? That's what this strategy is. And for us, that's what ODS is. ODS is a manifestation of that strategy to drive this new thing we're calling HCDI within the broader scope of Mr. Governor's redeemed agenda, which has something called energy, mining, and sustainable industries as one of the agendas. For us to want to find a sustainable industry, there must be some level of passion or some level of interest in somebody trying to make that investment. We've seen that in driving community-led initiatives. And this is a very good time. I mean, forget that I'm part of this administration. You should also recognize that there's one thing this administration has done extremely well and has been championing from the jump. And one, some level of autonomy of the respective layers of government. Local governments run their own money. Of course, you all know our governor, Arakunrin Akeredolu, has been very particular about giving state-level autonomy, whether it's with state policing or how you manage your resources. So you have a government and a culture that's embracing some level of autonomy, or in other words, putting your destiny in your own hands. And for us, we're proud that Ondo Town, or Ondo Kingdom, is taking that and really running with it. And with the administration that's also very deliberate in driving investments, what that means for you is you have government support, you have your own support. Now you just need to target the right people to ensure that we can see ultimately that investment comes to Ondo Kingdom. Now, a lot of things were said about Ondo Kingdom yesterday, especially around your strategic advantages. Yes, we touched on 4 things in particular here, but somebody alluded to something else yesterday about proximity and about Ondo being equidistant between Ore, where all the industrialization is happening, and Akure, which is what you consider a commercial capital. That is something that I believe Ondo should harness. That proximity can do a lot, whether it's in the space of tourism or agriculture. If Ondo town is a food basket and is feeding Akure, it's feeding Lagos, there are very interesting things you can look at around how to develop the Ondo Kingdom. So for us, again, ODS is what we consider the future of participatory government at all levels. And it is with this particular event that we hope to develop a framework that we can replicate across not just Ondo State, but across the country. We know states in Lagos, they've been championing such activities, but no state has been very deliberate in designing an approach to ensuring that this is something that you can replicate. And for us, again, some of the things we're looking at is how we're doing this with support mechanisms, community buy-in, developing your sector analysis and seeing what strengths you have, looking at the stakeholders that would be critical to the success of this, and developing an implementation strategy. So that I don't bore you with technical terms, for us, all of this is to drive what you're calling HCDI. And so, once again, I want to say we're proud of Ondo Town, Ondo Kingdom, Ondo City, for really taking this concept and taking it to where we want it to be. Again, it's just the beginning. We're looking forward to more and more tweaking and updating and fixing and implementing, and ultimately we're looking forward to commissioning the first factory or the first industry in Ondo town. So thank you for your time. But in all of this, I just want you to remember that phrase, HCDI, we're driving homegrown community-driven investment. Thank you very much.
Ms. Engineer Babajide Akeredolu, let's put our hands together for him. Àbálọ àbábọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ wọn. Ẹ jẹ́ ká sọ fún àwọn ọmọ wa, àwọn ẹ̀gbọ́n wa, àwọn àbúrò wa, àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ wa tó wà lókè òkun, tó wà níbi gbogbo, kan wá sílé, kan wá dá ilé iṣẹ́ síbí. Kì í ṣe kọ́kọ́ lé jọ̀rànjọ̀ràn. Mo like àwọn Ondo. Àwọn Ondo wọ́n kọ́ kinní kan ilé náà ń pè é. Àmọ́ ẹ jẹ́ kán wá dá ilé iṣẹ́ sílẹ̀ ní ibi báyìí kí ọrọ̀ ajé Ondo kó lè gbèrú sí i. Ṣé ẹ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀? Tẹ́ ẹ bá ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ àwọn ọmọ yóò lè ríṣẹ́. Àbí ṣé Kalaba lẹ fẹ́ lọ ni? Ṣé ẹ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀? Ṣọ́rọ̀ mi yé yín. Ẹ sọ fún gbogbo àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ yín, ọmọ yín, ẹbí yín kan wá dá ilé iṣẹ́ sílẹ̀ níbí. Tá a bá ti sọ̀rọ̀ lọlé ní, by the time we get to the sessions, you will see more potentials. For those of you who were here yesterday, we expanded conversation on the potentials that are here, and we will continue that today. I remember the session which was anchored by Mrs. Ayola on agriculture. And the speakers, Dr. Yebadi and all the other speakers, they said I should call you Chief. Mr. Bambi himself expanded conversation on all the potentials that are here. And I've visited Mr. Ayola's factory before. If we can have many more of such factories around here, it would be a great thing for this land. It's important. Thank you very much, Engineer Babajide Akeredolu, for the overview. Well, we'll take another overview from the community perspective, because it is your thing, sir. Tori Chief Akinwande ni. Abi Chief Akinwande? Shebi tori yin ni. It's because of you now. So we must take the community perspective of the overview of what had happened yesterday. But before I invite you, sir, let me welcome the Honorable Commissioner for Commerce and Industry, Dickiness Lola Fagbemi. Dickiness, mo ti sọ kẹ́ tó dé. Mo ní gbogbo choice position government Governor Akeredolu ẹ̀yin Ondo ná fún. Ẹ̀yin ni ẹ wà láìsítì. Ẹ̀yin lẹ wà nídìí òwò. Ẹ̀yin lẹ ṣá wà everywhere. Àmọ́ àwa yòókù àbínú. So welcome. Thank you very much for being a part of this month. Let me now welcome Chief Akinwande, the chairman Ondo Development Committee, for the community perspective on the overview of what happened yesterday. Chief Akinwande, I'm a finish chief like I create a for you.
Who told you I want that? Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be with you here today. Like they said, I happen to be the current chairman of the Ondo Development Committee. And somebody came to me and said, what's your vision for being chairman of Ondo Development Committee? And I said, you shouldn't ask me that. For the basic reason that we have a good system in Ondo here. But before I talk, I must recognize our Honorable Makinde I'm happy to see you here. Honorable Wale Akikotu, I'm a show for being here. My commissioner, God bless you. Mr. Femi Akinkuwebi, Leo, and all these are happening because of His Imperial Majesty, Dr. Victor Kiladejo, CFR, who was here yesterday, who has been a great motivator for everything that has been happening here. A very great visionary. We are lucky in Ondo Kingdom here because we have the right people. It is very correct. If you meet Ondo people anywhere in the world, even when they are driving taxi, they want to drive it very well. And they have this magnetism around them that attract their fellow Ondos. And it is that spirit that has made Ondo what it is. That is why we have this kind of civil center, because we cooperate amongst ourselves. We are ready for self-development. And that's why we could develop institutions like the first community secondary school in this area, built by people who came from two different religions, of the very many religions that we have in Ondo here. They sat together and developed a school like that. And they didn't care what religion the school was to take thereafter. They just developed it. And that's why there had been a lot of peace in this community. We don't care about what religion you have. Now, talking about our traditional governance. We have one of the best traditional governance regime that any community can have. Our king is a visionary. Our Oshemawe Council is extremely good. It's like they're working 24/7. They're always working throughout. I don't know when they take their leave. And of course, they now give birth to an institution like ours in the ODC and put a lot of talented people there. We have in ODC at least 2 retired vice chancellors. We have professors. We have managing directors of their companies. And we have all our chiefs. When the Igbo people came here, they say almost every man in Ondo is a chief. We have all our chiefs from every quarter represented in the ODC. Well, when you now look at the ODC, it's a collection of wisdom. There's no way such group of people can come together and not be a source of wisdom for the community. Now, what are we after? We are after development. We want the betterment of our community. And that's what we do. And we're all volunteers. We don't earn a penny. And we come there regularly and think how to make our community a better place. And of course, we thank God that we have good people who are ready to respond to development. And that is the purpose of an activity like this, put together by young men who are thinking of the future of our community, young men who are taking after their forefathers and want this place to be a place of excellence. I have been trying to look for an equivalent in Yoruba, in other Yoruba languages. I have not seen. Akpewago. That is the tendency that we have in Ondo Kingdom here. And we will continue to work at it. We will continue to work at our youth. We will continue to want to make this place a place of excellence. We will continue to want to make this place a place of education. We are trying to drive entrepreneurship. We are trying to train our children how to do business in this modern era. And we have a government like this Ondo State government that supports this kind of development that we are trying to drive within our community. And we thank the state government very, very much. And of course, with the standard of people the state government is pushing to do all these things, we cannot but have success. I was listening yesterday to the government, trying to tell us how they are looking at economic development in the state. I mean, how would the state not be successful if you think of the state with such strategic initiatives? I think this state is a very great state. And they are looking at every single angle, including security. Because if there is no security, we are going nowhere. They're looking at that and looking at how to develop people, how to develop businesses, how to care by adding funds to the pockets of people who don't have enough, but have the ideas. The first thing is to have the idea. The second thing is, okay, well, how do I implement it? If you don't have the funds to implement it, then you have no idea, because the idea will not work. But the government is there to look at you and say, I care for you. I want to give you what you don't have. I want to assist you. If you don't have land, I'll give it to you. I want to assist you. If you don't have money, I'll give it to you. It's not that I want to give it to you so that I can go and marry a new wife. Government is not interested in your new wife. Government is interested in how you can better your life and better the life of the people around you. Every single person matters in any community. And it is the hard work of the collective effort of everybody in that community that drives the community, that makes the community a better place. If you don't work hard, the community will not work hard. It is a collective effort. So we thank our government from what I've heard so far for doing a wonderful job in trying to bring us to the Committee of Nations. We will soon have the kind of resources that will make us to compete with some countries in Africa. We are big enough. We can make a country. This state can make a country. We are big enough. And with the kind of effort we are putting into it, we will achieve a lot. So I thank all the young men, young people, who have put this Ondo Development and Economic Summit forward. It's not what we have put forward now that will make us a better group of people. It's what happens thereafter. Post this operation here, what are we going to gain from it? How are we going to move forward? How are we going to push it ahead? That depends on what we do after now and the response that our people give to it. And I'm sure, by God's grace, we will clap for ourselves. I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to say one or two things. Thank you, Femi. I think I've had enough. Thank you. I'm not sure.
Don't you like what Chief Akinwande said? Eh? Thank you very much, Chief. Chief Akinwande said he doesn't want to be a high chief. Okay. How about you? Amukoyin? Thank you. All right. It's now time for the business sessions. And straight away, we're moving to the session on diaspora involvement and its challenges, of course, in community development and industrialization. And of course, the There's going to be an electronic presentation for 9 minutes. Then 7 minutes first. Then we introduce the speakers for that session. Please let's take the documentary straight away.
Joseph, diaspora. No nation in the world will grow without its diaspora. Diaspora has always been the blessing of nations. If you think about it, everybody you know in the Bible, from Joseph, diaspora, Isaac, diaspora, Abraham, diaspora, Ezra, Daniel, diaspora. Even the idea of Jesus coming down, diaspora, that God came down, diaspora. Jesus went to Egypt, diaspora, coming back home. Israel being formed in a day, diaspora. There's no nation that has grown without a collaboration and organization of its waiting diaspora. The brain drain that we experience has now been converted into a potential brain gain. And that gain must be understood by organizing to wake up the diaspora to its socio-economic and political destiny in the continent. The way that we work is that every year about $48 billion is sent home in remittances. That $48 billion is so huge, it's the biggest income in the continent. But guess what is coming to solve? Welfare economics. Money for shoe, for house, for rent, and all of that. And we know that anybody living abroad sending money home is sending less than 5% of his income. About 95% is still sitting dark in his host country. Now, if we mobilize Africans to begin to understand that they can repatriate just 20% without losing the 5% that they had before, take another 15% and repatriate it home. But that repatriation now is not for welfare economics, it's for investment in ideas. Such that it's not just Americans who are investing in Further Wave or in Jumia or in any of these countries. Africans can pull resources together and be the one funding the local ideas here. That is the association between local ideas and global relevance. The idea that we will pull funds in our brain game and bring it home to fund ideas. So we need more incubators made by Africans for Africans, more accelerators made for Africans by Africans, intentionally searching for ideas, investing in ideas.
Good afternoon. My name is Nasiolumole Akikube. I'm a realtor in Canada, close to 2 decades. Thank you, Dr. Akikube, for coming to involve the diaspora in Ondo Development Economic Summits. The points of area where the diasporas have concern about to reinvest in Nigeria. They are not encouraged to come home to do something. The answer is not far-fetched. I can tell you clearly that most of the problem people are complaining about is about trust and honesty, and also security. We in Nigeria, we know the situation now. There are a lot of trustworthy person when you are doing business. Apart from that, the issue of trust is a very serious matter for any diaspora to come home to invest. You don't want to invest where you are not secure in terms of physical secure, and also about your investment security as well. Although we love our town, Ondo Kingdom. We love it to be developed. As the purpose of you, when you have, God has blessed you to a certain extent, you want to go back to your community in order to invest at the same time, impart the life of people, try to create economy, environment, and sustainable businesses in the area, where people can wake up in the morning, the less privileged of people that are trying to make it in life, where they can work and make some money to feed their family. So this issue of trust, honesty, security, and government policy, and also in some senses, there's a lack of business awareness. Not everybody knows what they can do over there to generate good income or revenue for them, compared to where we are here in Canada. Now, any business you want to do, definitely do your business plan, be be some analysis that will let you know that definitely if you invest $1,000, you can make this much. You invest more than 10,000, something of that nature. But in the case of Nigeria, we don't have that yardstick out to determine what will be the return on investment, despite the fact that there are so many hitches and those bureaucracy that hinder business growth, like corruption, extortion, a lot of things that people are so scared, very skeptical that if I should put my money in this place, how am I sure that I'm going to get it back? How am I sure I'm going to get to good return? And these are the major problems. And I believe we know, based on the fact that the COVID came now and has worsened the matter to come to the environment when we don't know what will be the future. Generally, it's affecting every part of Nigeria, not Ondo entirely, but Ondo Kingdom is our concern how to develop it. Most of the factors that impact other places, same thing is applicable, is impacting the development in our local community. Then I believe also if the local people, I use the term local, that doesn't mean people that are based in Nigeria, in the kingdom. If there are certain projects they're doing that, people will say, oh, if this person can be successful in doing it there, that will motivate people in diaspora to think, okay, if that person can do, although it's based at home, definitely that will give them that kind of a booster to say, okay, let me give it a shot. And now with this program that people are putting together, I appreciate the Ondo Development Economic Summit that are coming up this day to do all those things. Yeah, that means we're trying to create a system to work where the diaspora can come together and invest in the portfolio and have a better return. But hey, people still have that doubt that no, we know each other. So say, oh, I don't even know this person, I don't know the group, I don't know that person. How possible will I have confidence in them as well? You know, so based on old experiences from different people. So I think what we should be thinking about and what we should be looking about is that what could be the solution to all this thing? All of us know the problem, except we want to deceive ourselves. We know the problem that is facing the economic development in the locality, in the grassroots, to the federal level. So if the problem are being resolved, take systems, infrastructure in place, even the power generation, power thing, that power security, those are the major things. A lot of us here, we have investors that we can say, okay, hey, let's venture to our country or town. But the first thing they would ask, talking about security, we talk about the infrastructure, this power thing, all those things. It's really killing growth in our community. If this could be addressed, at least if there could be some changes and the government too can do more to make the diaspora more secure, have their investment be protected, I think that will really help. Thank you very much. I think that will be my short brief for today. And if you need anything in the future, please do not hesitate to contact me. And I appreciate you people for putting this together. God bless you all. Well, Ondo Kingdom. I will do the only video. I do share.
The panel discussion for the diaspora involvement and its challenges. Speaking on this talk, Dr. Tolani Patrick, Mr. Ayola, Boye Oyewumi, Femi Akarakiri.
May I request that the gentlemen should proceed and take their seats. To co-anchor this session is Mrs. Ayola. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for the panelists. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, well, sorry, can we do some better work with the microphone? The second one, please, so that the panelists will be audible. This session essentially is about diaspora investment. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this session is essentially about diaspora. And of course, when Engineer Babajide Akeredolu was giving an overview of the time earlier today, he talked about foreign direct investment. And that was also essentially what Mr. Nelson Akinkugbe was talking about, in his presentation. So I'm sure that the bulk of this conversation is going to be around foreign direct investment, the challenges, diaspora involvement, and all of that. But before I engage the panelists, I'd like to ask that we have an electronic presentation about diaspora involvement in development. Please, is the Thank you very much. Well, I think Dr. Tolani will have to speak to the slides so that we will understand exactly what he has put together. Dr. Tolani, please.
Well, good morning, everybody. I really want to thank everybody who was here yesterday and had chosen to come back today. I think it shows your level of commitment to the development of Ondo Town. I also want to congratulate the committee who put this together, particularly with the support of the state government, seeing the Commissioner for Investment seated, seeing Babajide there, a member of the House of Rep, and the Honorable Commissioner. I can see that this is a very serious summit. I put the slides together, but happily, I'm not going to go through the slides. Rather, I'm going to speak to the slides. Just to start by saying that I think the background should be that I've been living out of Nigeria for 22 years. So this is my 22nd year of living abroad. And fortunately, I started coming back to Nigeria 11 years ago. So literally, you would say, although I'm not Amirokan, they say God is Arinurode Olumorokan. That's what they call God. So, but in my case, I'm Arinurode, but I'm not Olumorokan. Arinurode in the sense that I have lived and I continue to live abroad, but I've also been in Nigeria, and I've also had the opportunity of investing in Nigeria. Meaning the last 10 years, both grants and my own investment, I've spent over $1.5 million. And I'm working on a project in Ondo State. To be specific, I will be manufacturing, by the grace of God, solar panels at the Ore Industrial Hub. Courtesy of the government of Ondo State, and indeed your son, Femi, here. Don't ask me why the investment did not come to Ondo. We were not ready at the time. But the point of the matter is that, now what were the factors that made me take those decisions? even when I'm not from Ondo State. The interesting thing is I'm not from Ondo State. I'm from another state. But I'm doing this in Ondo State because you just have to understand that where there is the right environment, where there are the right structures, the right personnel, the right commitment, investment will naturally flow there. That's the message. And that's why I thank you for what you're doing here in Ondo, and I'm very passionate about it. Now let me give you a little bit of statistics so that you understand what we are talking about. If the person that is looking at my slide can find it, that is fine. There are different ways by which overseas investments come to any country. One is foreign direct investment, which is what has been mentioned, and that is the investment brought by foreigners. And there are conditions that must be met before that can happen. There is overseas development assistance, which is called ODA. And then, over the years, diaspora investment, particularly globally, has been rated as one of the areas where investment can come to any country. And now let me give you a little bit of the differences between them. Overseas or foreign direct investments, which could come, let me break down a little bit again, in terms of direct investment or portfolio investment. So you could have direct investment, you could have portfolio investment. Direct investment means the person leaves his country, his home country, and it comes to a host country. But there are different conditions that must be met before that happens. However, the thing about foreign direct investment is that the foreigner will one day take his money back. The foreigner who has come to invest in your country will repatriate his funds. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is debt. Debt is also important. And you will know that as a nation, Nigeria now, we are almost getting to the ceiling of our borrowing possibilities. Because we have borrowed and borrowed and borrowed. Although we are told that our borrowing to GDP is still safe. But when you are spending about 98% of your income to service debt, then nobody should tell you that you are entering the dangerous zone. Now I mentioned, so debt, again, you have to pay back. Now, overseas direct investment, you won't pay back, but that comes with a lot of conditions. And if you don't meet the conditions, it can stop. But diaspora investment is safer. Now, let me say that virtually all the conditions necessary for maybe ODA, for FDI, they are virtually the same conditions, and that's what people are missing for diaspora investment. You see, you have to understand, I have the statistics there. Diaspora investment is about, in 2007 to 2017-19, diaspora investment was about 11 times the size of foreign direct investment to Nigeria. So that tells you how critical it is. Also, it was more than 3 times the size, as you can see there, can see on the slide if you allow me. See, you can see the figures. Remittances flow to Nigeria. Then, so you can see it as a percentage of the budget of Nigeria. 83%. That's a lot. Now, FDI, I've already told you, is 11 times. So, diaspora investment is about 11 times. And for ODA, is 7.4 times of ODA to Nigeria. So this is absolutely critical. Now, what are the conditions for diaspora investment? And I will put diaspora investment into two areas. One is remittance, just remittance. People are sending money to the country, help me build house, give money to uncle, and so on and so forth. Can I tell you the bad news? The remittance stream of money will dry up because those of us who are diasporans, we are tired of sending money. We are tired of sending money because the issue of trust is there and all those things. Rather, now let me also say, it's better to create opportunities for people abroad to invest than to be harassing them to come home and invest. Did you hear what I'm saying? It's better to create the environment for them through different instruments, as I heard you are doing in Ondo, for people to put resources together to invest in either existing companies or new companies in the four areas you have created, than asking them to leave their comfort zone there and come here and invest. For example, if I had that opportunity 11 years ago when I started coming to Nigeria, I think my life would have been better. So, if you want more people to invest, now let me tell you, debt, overseas direct investment, and foreign direct investment, they don't follow passion. But diaspora investment can follow passion as well as the other factors. For example, I knew this before I came here. The Ondo people are very passionate about their city. I think you can clap for yourself. And I was telling those who interviewed me earlier this morning, do you have a place where you rear goats? Because the Ondo people they don't joke with their asu. Am I right? Yes. So, what am I trying to say? You must create the passion for them to come home and invest. But more importantly, you must create a platform for them. And that's why I'm very happy that Babajide and his team will still come to talk about the role of ICT. Because ICT is very important in the equation. So let me round up here, because I don't like people stopping me when I'm speaking. Let me round up here. What are the conditions that will make this happen? Now, post-COVID, and the Russia invasion of Ukraine has brought a new dynamics. And the new dynamics now is that there is cost of living crisis abroad. Right? So that means money will not flow automatically the way it used to flow before. Because you need to be okay before you send money. But if you do a good job, you will surely get investment. And then another point which we must be careful about is that the rate at which people are leaving Nigeria is almost like now an epidemic. I'm sure a lot of you know about Japa. Do you know about Japa? That people are living. It is almost becoming an epidemic. And what that means is that the net is becoming bigger for you to fish from. Statistics that I showed initially indicated that there were about 1.4 million Nigerians abroad about 4 or 5 years ago. By next year, that figure will be more than 2.5 million.